Hello, everyone. Great to see you all coming in. I'm having to scroll and scroll, seeing all these names. Lovely to see you all. Thank you so much for being here. Oh my goodness. Wow. All right. Well, I would love to officially welcome everyone here to our poetry reading. We are here together for this very special event, listening together. These are poems from a year of conversations. We're here to celebrate poetry and listening and the connection that forms between the two when we sit down to listen. So really happy to see you all. I know many of you. Very, very lucky to be our host tonight. I'm Ravenna Raven. I'm here to guide us through our time together. If you don't know me yet, I've been a listener poet. If you do, you probably heard me talk about it a lot. I've been with the Good Listening Project for the past 6.5 years, alongside many of these wonderful team members. And being able to see this amazing, vibrant community really grow these past handful of years. I also have the joy of leading our certified listener poet course, which we have so many alumni here today. This course trains individuals in the art of deep listening and poetic reflection within healthcare settings. And so really, really happy to be with so many alums today. And I also serve as the publications lead for Anthologies. So that's what we're here to talk about today, is all these wonderful voices that we've been able to hear over this past year. So really want to thank you for being here, being part of the Good Listening Project, whether you've been part of this community for years and years, or you're recently joining our mission to humanize healthcare through the healing power of poetry and compassionate presence. So we love to say that at the heart of our work are listener poets who hold one-on-one listening sessions with individuals, where they can share what's on their minds and on their hearts. So each conversation becomes a custom poem. This is a reflection of that person's story, but they're also their specific emotions and the experience. And over these years together, doing these listener poet sessions, alongside small group conversations that we facilitate where colleagues get to actually share their poems and stories with each other. All of this work has been shown to really build these team connections in these healthcare spaces, creating space for reflection and empathy, reducing emotional fatigue, and helping foster a more humanized healthcare culture. So you may know that each year we gather these poems into our collections, which I have here behind me. Each one is created through partnerships with our healthcare organizations, both large and small, both national and local. These collections are designed to strengthen the cultures of listening, support reflection, and honor the voices of the people who are working in and healing in healthcare spaces. So last year we published 6 new anthologies. Each one of these is a representation of the mosaic of voices and experiences. And while editing them, I had the joy of reading almost all of the 362 poems that were written by our amazing listener poets this year for our partnerships. Each poem represents a person's story, their unique experience. And all together, they reflect the incredibly amazing diversity of human experience. So We're really thrilled to be sharing these 6 poems with you tonight. We have 6 amazing readers for you, which I'll introduce very soon. You're going to hear the voices and stories and insights that emerged from their offer of presence, of deep listening, of poetic reflection. Each poem was a gift for the person and a reflection of what becomes possible when we slow down and truly listen. So what our time will look like is we'll hear these 6 poems, one from each of our collections. I'll introduce a little bit about the anthology and the listener poet who'll be reading. And then the listener poet will introduce their poem and read their poem. So you can also follow along. We won't be sharing the text for the poems tonight, but you can follow along on our webpage. The link will be in the chat. We put all the poems up there if you'd like to read along. After the poet reads and shares, we're just going to leave a little bit of spaciousness, a bit of a pause, a space to kind of breathe and let the words sink in. And at that point, you're welcome to share any reflections in the chat. We love to feel your presence. We love an emoji reaction all throughout. I've been loving seeing them come in so far. So thank you for that. And just to let you know what that spaciousness is, you'll see me come on screen, but I'll give a little bit of time before we move into our next reader. And finally, I'd love to take a minute to just acknowledge everybody who is here. I'm just taking another look through everybody's names. Oh my goodness, I'm getting a little bit of like, ooh, you're all here. Thank you so much. I see so many dear friends. I'm gonna tear up. I see so many listener poets, our founder, Frankie, hello. Many alums, partners, champions, supporters. Here I am already tearing up, wow. Just a special thank you to our incredible board members. I see your friends. Ingrid, Karina, Ann, Nancy, Eddie, Beck, Nancy Sherlong, Joe and Kay and Max, and to my grandma who's here, and to my mom, who is my deep inspiration and my why. We're all here tonight. Thank you so much for being here in this celebration. And let's give it up for the poets. All right. I am so excited to introduce this very first anthology. We published this early on in the year, in February. It's called Say Her Name, honoring Henrietta Lacks's legacy and impact on medicine and research ethics. So this collection features poems that were inspired by one-on-one heartfelt conversations with 13 women across a variety of professional roles at Cedars-Sinai. And they were all united in a shared goal of honoring Henrietta Lacks. So through these poems, we glimpse their personal and professional reflections on Henrietta Lacks's enduring legacy. And if you haven't heard of her yet, I highly encourage you to find out more about her story and her life. She is known as the mother of modern medicine, and her immortal cells are shaping how we, everything in healthcare now. So this is a story that continues to shape conversations, especially around research ethics and consent and health equity. So this particular collaboration reflects a shared commitment between Cedars-Sinai and the Good Listening Project to advance research justice and health equity through the arts. So together, these poems form a multi-layered narrative that honors the human stories at the heart of medicine and underscores the continuing importance of health justice today. So reading her poem, we will hear from Sibihan Lawrence reading the poem We Shall Know Her Name. Sibihan Lawrence is a certified listener poet of cohort 9. She's many alums here from cohort 9 tonight, and she's a London-born performance poet, a theater maker, an arts education specialist, a storyteller, and a dismantler of master narratives. Her research interests lie in exploring Black British performance in relation to Black socio-poetics of being and Black aliveness. So as you are listening as the audience, just would love for you to write your reflections in the chat, any words or phrases that are coming to you after you hear the poem. But I would love to welcome you, Sibihan, Sibs, to share your poem with us.
Thank you so much, Ravenna. Thank you. Your voice always feels like a hug and a song, and it's so reassuring. It's beautiful. And Jenny, thank you so much for being you and just being an amazing executive. Thanks to all the team, Yvette, everyone, cohort 9. Yes. Yes. But here I am today to speak about Henrietta Lacks. This poem felt like a promise. It felt like a vow, an urgent vow. And for that, I can't promise that my voice won't break. I said, I can't promise that my voice won't break. This conversation was inspired by an amazing poemee, Dr. Kimako Devinia, who spoke to me through our tears as we spoke about ancestry and lineage and pain and power and Black joy versus Black pain and how we get to the other side. And through it all, we came to this reckoning with this poem, as I say, which became a promise to ancestry, to those that had gone before. So in answering a question that was posed, which was what inspired this poem, Dr. Kimako said to me, Sibihan, as I listened, she said the historic traumas of African American women, all African Americans, lead us not to be the first people at the doctors, nor the first to get surgery. But she said, my legacy as a nurse leader is based in integrity, ensuring I provide the best care for everyone. No matter who you are or where you are, I will advocate for you. I'll speak up and I'll fight for you. So again, this feels like a promise. Poem is entitled, We Shall Know Her Name. And we shall know her name. The unsung cornerstone of scientific revolution. Her sublime bloodline, the baseline of innovation and invention. Extracted from unconsenting flesh, every stolen healer cell, an anchor for modern medicine. We shall know her name. Unassuming oracle, responsible for the development of universal vaccine, from polio to COVID-19, in vitro fertilization, AIDS, HIV, and everything in between. We shall know her name. and it will reverberate in the corridors of power. It will strain through the closed lips of the complicit. We shall know her name. Her proliferating DNA, like a rapturous river, flows, immortalized in a nation's veins, memorialized in our bones, in resistance, recognition, and reclamation. We shall know her name. Henrietta Lacks, we shall know her name. Skewed systems failed you, policies, practice, legislation, callous companies and cunning corporations. But what is understood doesn't need to be explained. So instead, we self-diagnose and we self-help and we become the physicians and we heal ourselves. And we hold our breath and we pray as we walk into the doctor's rooms. And we opt out of surgeries and hospital visits. And we beware those men in white coats who practice malpractice, those who bear witness to sick trysts on sick bodies without fear of reprisal or reprimand, those who weaponize patronage and toy with our survival. Beware those who tease you with their expertise and then kill you with their unkindness. Those that attempt to colonize cell culture, picking over sacrificial black skins, gathering around sterile tables like hungry vultures. We shall know your name, Henrietta. We shall know your name. And she marched. She marched through battlefields, desperate for your aid, tiptoeing around segregation, dancing with discrimination, desperate for more time, desperate for your grace. Yet she became your experiment, food for the thoughtless, your unaware guinea pig, stranger in her house, scraping at her tissues, prodding at her cell walls, subjecting her sinew, manipulating her melanin, objectifying her womb and then marketing her membranes and touting them to the highest bidder. This is all too familiar. So what we do is we swallow our feelings, we push them down, and we fold up our tongues. Because even if we scream on those hospital tables, no one ever comes. And our thick-skinned black pain is like a silent movie. And our tears dry slowly. And the trauma is unholy. You know, they say that time heals all wounds, but they never talk about the scars. The suddenness of severed kin, those 5 motherless children. But yet we know why the caged bird still sings. It is said that those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. So justice must prevail. We shall know your name. We shall know your name and your legacy. Black woman, descendant of ancient code crackers and skillful code switchers, resilient water waders and ingenious miracle workers. Henrietta Lacks, you single-handedly reshaped science and changed the course of history. And your celestial silhouette looms in resistance, recognition, and reclamation. We shall, Henrietta Lacks. Yes, we shall.
Thank you. Thank you, dear Sibs, for this incredible poem. Oh, you got flowers. Oh, absolutely. Amazing poem. We shall know her name. Thank you so much, Sibs, for this amazing welcome. First poem tonight. Just beautiful. I love seeing the reflections come in the chat. Please, if there's anything you'd like to share, keep it coming. Thank you all so much. Thank you again, Sibs. That was just so moving. What a way to begin. Well, I would love to introduce the next anthology that we published this year. This was our largest published anthology this year in March. It's my proof copy. Here's our copy. This was called Our Why: Stories from the American Cancer Society's Patient Support Team. So each poem and origin story in this next collection was created for team members of the American Cancer Society's patient support pillar. So this was part of their My Why professional development program. So this was a space for them to reflect on their purpose, on resilience, and their connection to the mission of the American Cancer Society. Through these conversations, we heard deeply personal stories, as we're already hearing tonight, about what drives each person's work, their why. These poems that emerged really honor the motivations and the heart behind the care that this team offers every day. This was just an amazing, wonderful team. We had a poetry reading with them earlier this year, and the emojis were just flying all over the place. I've never seen so many. So in addition to creating poems for this anthology, we also were able to gather everyone in small group sessions for the over 100 participants that created this book in March. So they were able to share their stories together. So this anthology brings together these reflections as a real testament to the purpose-driven spirit of the American Cancer Society community. These are expressions of courage, of connection, of love and humanity. And it really, each poem invites every reader to reflect on their own why you do the work that you do, why you care about what you care about. So I would love to introduce our reader, our second reader for tonight. We're going to hear from the wonderful Gray, Davidson, Carroll, reading their poem, Where Did the Children Play? Gray is a certified listener poet of cohort 7. They are a white trans femme writer, dancer, singer, cold water plunger, and self-proclaimed hot chocolate alchemist. They're the author of the poetry chapbook Waterfall of Thanks, which is beautiful, from Bottle Cap Press. And they are currently pursuing an MFA in poetry at NYU. So again, I would love to see reflections coming in the chat as Gray talks a little bit about their poem. Love to welcome you.
Amazing. Hi, everyone. My name is Gray. As Ravenna said, I'm so excited to be here with y'all. And I had an amazing conversation with this poemy. She was someone who held a position where she was responsible for stewarding and visioning towards the future, excuse me, of ACS in her state, and was herself also a child cancer survivor. And in our conversation, in our listening session, we spoke not only of her experience as someone who survived cancer as a child, but too of her experience of witnessing child cancer patients now and the joy that they carry with them, even in their sickness. And I think too, at this time, this comes, there's a piece about listening to the world too. And at the time that I sat down to spend time with these words and the poem that came out, I had just read Fadi Judah's book. Fadi is a Palestinian American poet and physician. And this book came out in 2024. And the title is A Bracketed Ellipses. And, you know, that asks, how do you say that? How do you say that thing that cannot be said? And so I was carrying to the rhythms and the music of Fadi's writing as this poem came into being, speaking to the resilience and the joy that this poem saw in child patients that she spent time with. She said, you just see a difference in the way children approach it. They have the moment, they have the pain, they have the shot, and then they just go back to playing. I always took strength from the way little kids would handle it. And so I was struck so much by that, that juxtaposition of joy and grief. This poem is after Yusuf Islam, also known as Cat Stevens. It borrows a title from him. Where did the children play? In the hospital waiting room, the children build their castles block by block and go in search of missing puzzle pieces. They are awaiting the results that will determine their lives, awaiting the treatments that will prolong them. But this does not concern them. They are concerned most with the living of their lives, with where their last corner piece is hiding, and whether everything will collapse if one more block gets piled on top. Outside, light shines through the window, dissolving the barrier between the world and the world within it. In the distance, you can hear the sounds of someone laughing. In another room, someone cries. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Hmm. Thank you so much for this incredibly moving poem. I like that you mentioned the juxtaposition, because that's exactly what struck me. Both, everything, all at once. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for your comments in the chat, seeing what parts really are moving you and what you're reflecting is really wonderful. Thank you. All right. Well, I would love to introduce now our third anthology that we are able to publish this year, and that is Hysteriography by Julia McDonald, which I have up here in red. I have the tote, I have it all. It's amazing, the shirt. This collection began as an expansion of their CLP, Certified Listener Poet course practicum, which they are about to begin this time last year as part of last year's fall cohort. And Julia, of course, if you know Julia, continued beyond the 6 required conversations and for the course to complete your coursework, and spoke with 20 individuals to create this anthology. And this collection was published in time to debut at the National Abortion Federation conference in May. So we worked on it. You know, Julia put this all together within a matter of months, worked on it with an incredible team of people. We're just so proud and lucky to have been a part of the creation of this collection. So Hysteriography is a collection of listening poems and origin stories that were birthed from intimate conversations and bound in a hand screen printed cover by Little Chair Printing. Shout out to Julia's wife, Hope. So physician poet Julia McDonald elevates lived uterus experiences with lyrical language and vivid imagery, while spanning the emotional spectrum from heartbreak to girl power humor. Arriving into a divided and violent world at a critical time for people with uteruses and for those who love them, Hysteriography is the perfect antidote for these times. Applicable, timely, and devastatingly beautiful. So we will hear Julia McDonald read their poem, No Words Exist, Why They're Afraid of Us. Julia, as I mentioned, is the certified listener poet of cohort 9. Shout out. Yes, last fall. They are a physician, a writer, and international humanitarian. And their writing has appeared in mainstream news media as advocacy for patients and commentary on the intersection of politics and medicine. So again, love seeing everything come in the chat, your reflections. I would love to welcome Julia to share your poem with us.
Thank you so much, Ravenna, and welcome everybody on this Tuesday night or Wednesday morning, maybe depending on where you're calling in from. So this conversation happened in somebody's living room. We were sitting cross-legged, sipping tea out of mugs. My poemy was a doula, is a doula and mom and an old friend. Doing this anthology over the past year brought me so much joy just to sit with people and talk about their life experiences. As a physician, I'm often in the fluids and the nitty-gritty bit of it, and so much of these poems really reflected love. And I sort of expected this poem, this listening session to involve some fluids or talk about families. And I think that the thing that I took away from it, looking back on this poem, what I have now is how wonderful it was that in the setting of so many restrictions and regulations on the bodies of people with uteruses, this listening session really captured the wonder and just the awe of this incredible organ that gives life. And that brings me joy whenever I'm feeling overwhelmed and frustrated in this world. No words exist why they're afraid of us. No words exist for the most important things. We can grow a life, make a placenta from our ancient DNA card without attending a specialized school. No words exist for most important things. We can feed a baby with our body and do it again and again and again, giving without withering or lessening. No words exist for important things. The center of the universe is in us. God, spirit, something ethereal and entirely ordinary. Pregnancy. No words exist for things. The deep guttural growl transitioning from active to pushing, connected to a power within. No words exist. The placenta comes away. The uterus knows to staunch its own wound. No words. That howl of relief and grief after abortion when they don't have to be pregnant anymore. Words. Magical, miracle, superpower. It's why they're afraid of us. It is not for them, this sacred, holy space. This is our power.
So many hearts. Thank you, Julia, for this powerful poem. Words, magical, miracle, superpower. Yes, absolutely. Love it. Love seeing. Oh, I love seeing everything coming in. All your words that you're reflecting in the chat. Thank you so much. Favorite parts. Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much. All right. Well, we are on to our fourth anthology that we were able to publish this summer. And this one is a special one, amplifying voices of Black women physicians in obstetrics and gynecology residency programs. We're going to also be hearing from Yvette Perry to talk a little bit more about this amazing collection, reading her poem List from this collection. Yvette serves as our health equity programs lead, but it was also the lead project editor for this anthology, as well as for Say Her Name that we heard from Sibs earlier today. So each of these 12 poems in this collection of amplifying voices was created as a result of the partnership between the Good Listening Project and Health for Equity, which is an initiative of the WPP Racial Equity Program. So I would love to tell you a little bit more about Yvette, introduce her so she can speak more about this partnership and this collection and read her poem for us. So Yvette Perry, PhD, is on our co-founding team as a listener poet from way back in the day. And as I mentioned, serves as our health equity programs lead. Yvette is a lover of music and books, an amateur photographer, and an amazing collector of antique typewriters. Has an incredible collection. She has a background, yes, as you can see, she has a background in, as an administrator in medical school student affairs and admissions, and is currently a medical school admissions consultant working with the Association of American Medical Colleges. So in addition to her work with TGLP, with the Good Listening Project, she also writes an amazing Substack called Margin Release. It's awesome. She writes a lot about the process, the craft of poetry. Yvette's the person to go to talk about that. So I again, as you're listening, love hearing the reflections, but I'd love to welcome you, Yvette, to talk a little bit more about this collection and read your poem.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ravenna. Thank you to everybody for being here. I'm a little bit nervous following the other poets that I've already read, but this is just a wonderful community. I know there's so many of our community here, and as an OG, I guess, listener poet, I just want to take this moment to thank all of you who were there at the beginning. I saw Frankie's name earlier. I see so many of our friends from the very beginning, and just to see the love that's been poured into this organization, and see, over 80 people online right now. It's just amazing. So thank you all. Yes, so I'm so excited about this anthology. It was a couple of years in the making, between my move to Miami, Florida, and back to Toledo. And so it was a lot. This particular poem, though, it was very special to me because, as you heard from Ravenna, I do have a background in medical education. I worked in the Student Affairs Office as the Director of Student Affairs and Career Development. And I also was the Associate Dean for Admissions for many years. And so I was used to working with medical students and helping them with some of their decision making. And the poemee for this poem was in that stage that I know so well. They've jumped through all the hoops. They've been admitted to medical school. They've gone through the gauntlet of medical school, and they've chosen their residency, what they want to specialize in. They've gone through the interviews. They've made their rank order list. They've waited nervously, and then they've gone to match day, torn open their envelopes, see where they're going to match. And now they're experiencing this hopeful but nervous. They're back down at the bottom of the totem pole. And so I know that feeling very well, or, secondhand feeling from the students and the young, brand new minted physicians that I've worked with in the past. And to be able to have this conversation with this physician was very important to me, particularly since I had talked to other physicians who were a little bit farther down. And so we're kind of hit with the reality of it. And so my goal with this poem was to really maintain that sense of hopefulness that she was feeling as she entered into this. She was very realistic, but also very hopeful. And I really was hoping to capture that feeling in her poem. So I'm going to read a poem called List. The blank page called for a bold black line down the center, top to bottom. On one side of the line were reasons for a different way to serve, a way to be hands-on, a way to live my dreams and the dreams of those who love me. On the other side were reasons against, moving far from family, the core of my being far from the place I call home, facing uncertainty, facing barriers, facing fear. But they don't call that side of the page cons for nothing. In the end, the words on that side of the bold black line did not con me into thinking I couldn't do this uncertain thing, this hard thing, this scary thing. I'm writing a new list. In coming months and years, items on this list will overflow the margins of the page and remind me of my reasons for. The list will tell me I can find communities of people who will help me through and who know what I'm going through. It will tie me to family who continue to support me, those who are now blocks away and those who are a heaven away. In this shimmering, spread my wings moment, I am the page, I write the list, I fill myself with all the things that help me grow and grab my soul. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvette. I'm seeing so many in the chat of my favorite part. I write the list. But also this time hearing it, I heard shimmering, spread my wings moment. Yes, lovely. Thank you so much, Yvette, for just this really uplifting, wonderful, both poem. Yeah, love it. Love hearing your amazing. Oh, just love reading the chat also. Thank you all. All right, we have two more amazing poems for you tonight. We have our next anthology was our 5th anthology that we were able to publish this year in August. This is stories from residents and fellows for the KNN. So you're also going to hear another story from a resident. So this partnership is now in its 2nd year. So this anthology of poems and origin stories marks a continued partnership now between this amazing organization called the KNN and the Good Listening Project. And this project is to uplift and support graduate medical education trainee flourishing through poetry and facilitated conversation that we have around these poems. So our listener poets were able to connect with individuals of this graduate medical education, opening each of our one-on-one sessions as we do with our simple invitation to share about anything you'd like a poem about. Following these sessions, the trainees were able to meet together in small groups, as we've mentioned, to reflect on their poems and to explore the themes that emerged in relation to the KNN's framework for flourishing. So we get to see a wide variety of viewpoints in this anthology that reflects the learner's experiences and honors the rich tapestry of experiences that shape this very unique phase of the physician journey, as Yvette was even mentioning a little bit about all of the kinds of things that you have to do to get where you are to be a physician. So our listener poet will be Leigh Finnegan-Hosey reading her poem, I Am Stuck on a Wheel That Keeps Turning, which I love this title. Leigh is a certified listener poet of cohort 9. So yeah, last fall coming in strong. She is a spiritual care provider with experience working in both higher education and healthcare settings. She currently serves as the pediatric and reproductive health chaplain for a large academic medical center supporting persons experiencing pregnancy crisis or loss and those who care for them. So again, as we hear Leigh, I would love to see reflections in the chat, and I would love to welcome you, Leigh, to share your poem with us.
Thank you so much, Ravenna. Hello, everyone. It's truly an honor and a joy to be in community with you this evening. And as a member of Cohort 9, humbled to be among giants for my cohort and for those of you who are here tonight. I'm excited to share about this conversation I had with a surgical resident. She was a young Asian American woman, clearly brilliant, and she wanted to talk about the unique culture that she was working in. She described a field defined by a ruthless pursuit of excellence, with a strict hierarchy and a set of traditions that at one time served a purpose, but now seemed antiquated and out of touch. It felt oppressive to her, and yet she noticed herself reinforcing these same toxic patterns with students lower down on the ladder from her. And she described this irony with the phrase, "I am stuck on a wheel that keeps turning." She articulated a desire to break out of this cycle so that she could connect with the reason she got into medicine. And she found surprising inspiration in the science fiction novels that she was reading, where flawed characters entrenched in brutal systems could still defy their context and grow and change course and upend the worlds that they were in. And as I listened to her, I felt as if I was watching someone live their hero's journey. And so this poem is called, "I Am Stuck on a Wheel That Keeps Turning." I am a surgeon. I cut, I suture, I close. I walk tightropes between brilliance and burnout, trying not to look down. I am stuck in a culture of deference and preference where silence is reverence and the cost of precision is more than I'm willing to pay. I am stuck on a wheel that forgets why it spins, round and round, not growing, just grinding, not healing, just surviving, and praise feels like pressure in disguise. I am stuck on a wheel that keeps turning me into someone I hardly recognize, but I can rewrite the rhythm, find the force beneath the friction. I can learn, evolve, chart a new course until each turning becomes my own revolution.
Love this, Leigh. Thank you so much. This is the poem you have to see as well. The shape of it also adds to the depth of this poem. So I highly recommend if you get a chance to look at it. Amazing reading, Leigh, the turn at the end. Thank you so much. All right, friends, we have one poem left for us to hear tonight among so many amazing words and stories. Wow, I'm just overwhelmed already. Just thinking back on all of this, but I am so excited to share this very new, very bonus collection that we have. It is a free digital, our first ever digital publication coming in November. That you can pre-order on our website. I created a link for you to do that if you're interested in getting your own copy. This is called Why Poetry Matters in Healthcare, a Neurologist's Perspective. So very excited about this collection. This is bringing together a unique intersection of narrative medicine, reflective practice, and poetic response And this is special because we've never published a collection like this before, because it was centered on a live listening session in our class. This was between a guest poemee who was a practicing neurologist, a champion of the Good Listening Project, just a wonderful person, and our very own certified listener poet, Sibihan Lawrence, who you heard from in the very first poem. And each of these poems was written by the members of cohort 11 who practiced this past summer and trained to be certified listener poets. And I also wrote a poem for this collection as well, just to put myself in the training process too. So what's amazing about this session, each cohort goes through this session. We all hear the same story, but we all write a different poem. And that just shows the uniqueness of our style, of our way of listening. But they're all really amazing interpretations of the same story. Seeing shout outs to cohort 11 in the chat. Yes, glad to see you here. This was an amazing shared encounter. And these poems really explore how presence and language and attention can become acts of healing in themselves. So this is not just a creative exercise that we're doing, although those are amazing too. But these poems are really artifacts of connection. They're testimonies to the power of being heard, what happens in these spaces. So whether you're a writer or a clinician, an educator or a reader who is seeking meaning through language, seeking connection through language, this collection offers a really moving glimpse into the alchemy that unfolds when medicine meets metaphor. So we are going to hear from the wonderful Sophie Schott, who's reading her poem, Why Neurologists Write. Sophie is a certified listener poet of cohort 11. Just had an amazing group this past summer. Sophie is also a medical student, a researcher, and a writer. Her scholarly work bridges clinical education and advocacy, aiming to strengthen medical training through inclusive, justice-oriented curricula. She looks forward to becoming an OBGYN while continuing her work as a reproductive justice advocate. So love seeing all the comments coming in the chat. Keep them going as we hear reflection. Sophie, I would love to welcome you to be our final reader for tonight.
Hi to everyone, especially cohort 11, all you lovely people. It's good to see your faces. This poem is about Marius, who, as Jenny and Ravenna have mentioned, is a poet himself and also is a neurologist. He came and spoke to our listener poet class about his life, how poetry comes up in his practice, and just different themes that he's seen through his career caring for people. I think I really connected with him, and part of this, a lot of the words in the poem are kind of little snippets of things that he shared with us when he shared his story. And it also, what really spoke to me about our conversation with Marius, it was a lot about being between things, whether that's being between poetry and being in medicine, or between listening and between speaking, and just kind of finding a place in that tension. And one thing that and we also co-wrote our origin stories for this with someone else in our listener poet class. So special shout out to Nix, who wrote this with me. But one question we ask is, medicine and science can only go so far. How do they stumble onto the truth that satisfies both of them? And how do poetry and metaphor play a part in healing? This is my poem, Why Neurologists Write. Why neurologists write? To get their patients on the same page, to play between the asymmetric sulci, to hold a safe harbor for the humanness and a lifetime of steady schooling, to make sense of the medicine, to record orders, to create order, to pull meaning out of another DNR, in a profession that wipes clean the whiteboard on the day of a patient's death. to pick up threads, to weave through magical thinking, to fill the gap between what is known, what is true, what is unknowable. They say you write poetry when you're young, but when you grow old, you become a poet. To become a poet is to understand the patient, to tune oneself to hear the poetry snapping at every human synapse.
Okay, here come all the tears. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Sophie, for your impactful poem. Oh my gosh, wow. Thank you, everyone, for reading tonight. Oh, LaShawn, I'm seeing your notes in the chat. I love it. Yes, I'm so proud. So happy to be with you all. Before we part ways, I'd just, love for you to write any more reflections in the chat, anything you noticed, themes that come to mind, feelings that you're having, words or images that are coming up, connections that you felt. And it is really our hope. Oh, wow, here it comes. It's really our hope that hearing these voices and these stories today, that you feel moved to listen deeply to others and to also tell your own story so that others will feel moved by you. I know that there's maybe some interest in getting copies of the anthologies tonight. So there is our webpage where you can purchase the anthologies. There's also an option to donate if you felt moved by our event tonight and would like to support the mission of the Good Listening Project. It is so very appreciated. Every single donation that comes in, we see you and appreciate you so much. You have no idea. As always, we invite you to stay connected through our future readings, through which are coming up very soon. We're already planning the next one. Upcoming anthologies, opportunities to be part of this listening community. Next year, we're going to be working on an anthology of the stories of informal caregivers. So if you have a story and would like to talk, please let us know. But we're working on putting that together and really looking forward to it. You can stay up to date on everything with our monthly newsletter and on social media that we work really hard to put together all the news for you. So in closing, I just want to give a really very heartfelt thank you to everyone here tonight, the listener poets, for your incredible, indelible, legacy-worthy words. To the community of the Good Listening Project for creating these spaces of healing. For those of you who gave a donation when registering for this event, this really supports us here at the Good Listening Project. They provide critical support since we are a nonprofit. We really appreciate this. And to our amazing audience, we wouldn't have the show without you. Thank you so much for helping us celebrate. Whether you're familiar with our work over the years or you're just joining us now for this reading, just thank you so much for being here. And I also have to give a very special shout out to Jenny, our executive director. I couldn't do any of this without you. You're just an amazing person. Thank you so much. Love you all. All right, I'm gonna go cry some good tears at the after party. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to our poets, and thank you for listening. Until next time, see you then.